Okay, hey everyone, my name is Rasmus. This is my four-wheel drive. I'm going to try to do a quick video of everything that's in the car, specifically for the Simpson Desert Bike Challenge. So this is a bike race that runs across the Simpson Desert, but it's going to be applicable to anyone setting up a car for remote four-wheel drive touring, but there's going to be some bike stuff specific to that event. So, the basics, it's a 1996 Nissan Patrol GQ, Ute, coils all around. We'll just start with the exterior, I suppose. So, got a bull bar at the front, which for outback travel is great because you, there's a possibility of animal strikes if you're unlucky. We've got two spotlights, which are great for when you're driving in the dark. Not that anyone plans to drive in the dark in the outback, but it happens from time to time. So if they're useful if you, if that happens to you. I should preface this actually with saying that you don't need all these things that are on the car. It's just a guide. You know, it's an example of what a relatively well set up vehicle has on it. You don't need all these things. You can get out with whatever you need. It's just if something goes wrong, it just depends how well prepared you are or not. So yeah, it's just an example. You don't need to, obviously have everything that this car has. But yeah, it's just a guide. So, where were we? Lights. We've got a winch at the front here. Obviously you don't need that either, but this car has it. Can be useful, not so much in the desert, but just generally for four-wheel driving. We've got two UHS, so two aerials, one at the front here and one up on the roof. I've just got two. One's a 40 channel, one's an 80 channel. So if you go to the back, we've got a Canopy, we've got an under-tray toolbox, 4 max tracks, which are excellent for the sand in the Simpson Desert. They've also got 2 locks on them, as you can see at the top there, which are just anti-theft. So at the back, there's a fair bit going on here. So we've got, I'll show you quickly. Alright. So we've got 2 spare tyres for the car. I'd recommend you carry 2. You can get away with 1 spare, especially if you've got a mate who might have 2, so you can share 3 tyres, 3 spares between 2 cars if they're the same tyre size and stud pattern. We've got 2 jerry cans just for some extra diesel. I should mention this is a diesel, TD42. We've got a swag on the back. That's just my preference for camping. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. We've got a bag here, this crash pad, it's actually a mate's crash pad, but that's just for rubbish. And the actual bicycle, so for the Simpson Bike Challenge, you've got to have a fat bike. And the ideal place that we've found is on the tray here. It's very well protected from anything, all the knocks, all the suspension, it's on the actual tyre, sitting on the tyre with just some straps on the top to hold it down. So that's really great for all the vibrations. Most people, obviously, you can have a bike carrier on your tow bar. That's just depends on what vehicle you've got. But so just quickly, we'll just go on to the actual, have a look at what's on the bike itself. We've got the fat bike. We've got a pump there, 2 bottle cages importantly, and we've got a top tube bag, and in that bag, just for the rider's sake, we've got a multi-tool, some first aid bits and pieces. We've also got a kit here with some tyre levers, and in this box here there's some spare valves, a bike chain link, and I believe that's it. Yeah, so that's that. That's just for riding, and obviously while you're riding as well, you've got your food, which is in your cycle gear, but we'll get to all that. On the roof here we have a solar panel, which feeds the batteries, which is great for the fridge. Alright. This side of the car we have an awning at the top here. I would highly recommend you have an awning, because you're going to want some shade out in the desert. Again, Canopy under tray boxes. I've got a shovel mounted here on the actual Canopy headboard. Snorkel, you don't need a snorkel out in the desert. Doesn't really matter unless you get unlucky, but you won't need a snorkel out in the desert most cases. The tyres themselves, I might just go over them. So I've got, these are obviously larger than your standard tyre, and they're a mud terrain. you can get whatever tyres you want. I mean, people cross the desert in road tyres. The mud, I mean, I would probably recommend at least an all-terrain because they have stronger, you know, they're just a stronger construction for off-road use. The mud terrains are the strongest ones you can get usually, and they go great in sand once you let the air out of the tyres. So yeah, but I mean, whatever tyres you've got, if you've got road terrains, you know, I'd probably recommend you get some all-terrains, but people have crossed the Simpson Desert in road terrains. So if that's what you've got, then that's it. Alright, might just quickly go over, I'll show you here. Two of the key considerations obviously for the Simpson are water and fuel. So if you get under here, water tanks, I've got two custom water tanks, one here and one here. So that totals 160 litres of storage, plus I carry a 10 litre jerry. So a total of 170 litres water storage. And in terms of fuel, obviously we have the two jerry cans here, and this car has a long range fuel tank, which is this big one here. So that's a 147 litre tank, so I get roughly up to a total of 190 litres of diesel. So you just need to, you know, work out your car's fuel consumption and how much fuel you're going to need, and you know, obviously have a bit of allowance. So the two jerrys gets me to what I usually need to get across the desert. Alright, we might jump into, actually quickly, I'll show you what's under the hood. Just a couple of minor things. Obviously this will vary from vehicle to vehicle, whatever car you've got, but specifically we have two batteries, so dual batteries, which is to run the fridge and any other camping stuff you got, you know, like lights, whatever. Some people have two fridges. I just got the one. But two dual batteries is quite a common mod for any four-wheel drive really. And the other thing I'd mention here is fuel filter. These two oil filters here, and you can't see, but the engine oil and the air filter. Those I have all replaced prior to the trip, so last week I replaced all those because the Simpson itself, from Sydney at least, is a 5,000 kilometre round trip, which is one service interval basically for this car anyway. So I'd recommend, you know, you have a look at your car's service intervals and get a service done before you head off. And just generally speaking, you know, try to familiarise yourself with the mechanics of your vehicle, because if something does go wrong, you've got an idea of what might be wrong. But yeah, that's under there. Alright, we'll jump into the cab and have a look what's in there. Alright, so center console, order, couple head torches. This is just for a camera. You can just camera related stuff. We've got some muesli bars, some sunscreen, and chargers. So make sure you get, I've got a cable for my phone, USBs here. Okay, in here we've got some hand sanitizer and, crucially, a tyre pressure gauge. Very important, tyre pressure gauge, so you know what PSI your tyres are at. That's very important out in the Simpson Desert, because you need to be constantly monitoring your tyres, because you're going over dunes, and it's pretty much the most critical aspect of driving dunes, the tyre pressure. Now, I've also got a second pressure gauge here, and this one is, funnily enough, it's for very, very low pressures. So this one we actually use for the bicycle, the fat bike, and that goes right down to, below 5 psi. So really great for the bike tires, because they get that low on the dunes. So that's why that's there. What else? We've got a fire extinguisher. I'd recommend you have one of those somewhere, because worst case you can put out a fire, otherwise your car's going up in flames. Here we have, that's just the winch controller for the winch, so that's just where that lives. What else? We have my sunnies are here. We've got a reverse camera. Because this car has a fair few engine modifications, this is going to depend on vehicle to vehicle, but this is my exhaust gas temperatures and this is my water temp. So these two just let me monitor how the engine's going and if I need to slow down, if I need to take it more easy, these, you know, gives me an indication better than the standard water temp gauge here. 2 UHFs, one's fine. What else? Those tools shouldn't be there, we'll get to them in a second. I'll show you what's under the seat. So these are just, you know, just depends what you do, but these are the things I keep under my seat. So my thongs, my hat, a sun reflection thing for your windscreen, really good out in the desert when it's really hot, and a snatch strap, so just easy access. If anyone's stuck, you can get to it very quickly. That's everything that I keep under there. Just put these things back. Now there is a fair bit going on in the nooks and crannies of this car. So behind the driver's seat, we've got a bottle jack here, and the long lever that you actually use to wind that up and down is this one here. So that's where that is. Just jump onto the other side. We've got, have a look at the glove box. Alright, so in the glove box we have, this is a kit actually for my hiking stuff, but this is just sort of an emergency, just bits and bobs that are useful. Lighter, this is actually sort of tape. These are waterproof matches, compass, as you can see, hiking stuff, but you know, useful nonetheless. A whistle, a pocket knife, a PLB. So this is a personal locator beacon. With this you can send an SOS signal from anywhere in the world. You don't obviously need this, but if you've got one, you know, it'd be a useful thing to bring along. The race director, you know, people in the combo will have this, but if you've got one, bring it. That's a patch kit for a sleeping mat, we'll get to that, and some water purification tablets. Hopefully you won't need them, but you know, not a bad thing to have. What else? Yes. Okay, so this is a snake bandage for a snake bite. I won't get it out now, but the reason it's a snake bandage is because it actually has rectangles on the bandage, which once they become squares, that's how you know that you're applying the right pressure to the wound, and that will save your life out in the desert. This is a microfiber cloth, again for cameras. First aid kit, just a bunch of wrenches, save you having to get out the whole toolbox if you need to do something minor, and some fly nets, and that's it. Alright, so behind the passenger seat, you would have seen this is actually the hose for the compressor. The compressor's hidden, you won't be able to see it, but it's hidden way under here. There's a compressor in there somewhere, so that's for pumping out your tyres. That's essential, so you need an air compressor. You don't need to obviously have it in your, you know, hardwired somewhere. You can just have it packed up somewhere in your car, but compressor, definitely a must. This is an inverter, so this has previously been a camera car, so we've got a power board up here, so you've got, you know, 240 volt power if you need it. Again, not a necessity, but you know, if it's something you need, then you put it in. Forgot the driver's side door. We've got all maps here, so these are all paper maps for the areas we're going, so maps are always useful. Okay, so the inside of the canopy. There's a heck of a lot going on here. We'll start with the bottom on this side, I think. And you can see it's packed very tightly. I'll bring everything out and we'll have a look what's there. Okay, so we've got some tools over here. Tools, bits and bobs, food. I'm going to leave the food because it's up to you what you bring. That's what we've got. There's a 10 litre water jerry can filled up here. There's some sports food there which I'll go into, and that's also just sort of tool related items, and that's camping stuff over there. So we'll go through each of those things now. We'll start with this one here. So this is bike tools. Let's have a look what we've got. Right, spoke tool. Right, spoke tool, a few different sort of bike style bolts and things. These are nuts spoke, so the ends of the spokes. So just bike related stuff. Over here, okay, we've got some spare valves, some spare some spare chain connectors. This is actually a spare battery for the heart rate monitor, which could be useful. More chain links. Inside, let's have a look. This is for taking your chain apart. Also, taking your chain apart. I think these are for your crank. I should say cycling isn't really my core area of expertise, so I'll just sort of flick through this. Allen key stuff, multi-tool, spokes. This is part of a sort of, it's actually a plug-in kit for your tyre. This is, I think, for the gears, and this is a bottle for putting sealant into your tyre through the valve. So that's that. And what else we got? We have, so these are like rubber blocks that I think came in a bike box when it was delivered. So they're just useful if we had any issues with things rubbing. We could use that. This is just some sort of washing up liquid water for cleaning the chain out in the desert. A fat bike tube, God forbid, we hope we don't need that, but it's there. Plastic bottle, plastic cup for sealant, because obviously the fat bike, hopefully, you've got a tubeless fat bike, sealant for that. This is a torque wrench, bike WD-40, some chain lube, a rag, and a spare seat post. Alright, throw all this back in. Alright, tools. Again, this is just a guide, totally up to you what you bring, but obviously there'll be a few things that are probably vehicle specific, but yeah, whatever you think you need, just a guide. So we've got a big breaker bar, sockets fit into that, but breaker bar. This is a wrench, I forget what these things are called actually, I'll put it in. A C-clamp for pushing things together, like we've used that to do brake pads. There's little sockets in here. What have we got up here? Alright, the actual toolbox. That's just some wire. Nothing there. Alright. Inside. Okay. So, we've got some drill bits. Assorted fuses and wiring stuff. There's a lot of stuff in here, but I'll just go through some obvious stuff. Hose clamps. Don't know what that is. Just tools. I mean, actually I might just skip over this to be honest. Go through what's important. If I think there's anything important. Okay. It's a saw. More spanners. Cable ties, always good. Important. Okay, so these are the wheel bearing erasers on my car. If you've got them, they're useful because this helps you to punch your old wheel bearings back in, I believe. But you know, if you've never done your wheel bearings before, don't worry about it. But if you've got them, bring them. They're good. This is a specific tool for my car. This is for tightening the wheel bearings. So you know, familiarise yourself with your car, and if there's any specific tools that are specific to your vehicle, bring them because they're a lot. You can usually get things done with whatever you've got that makes life easier. Everything else is here. I think it's just pretty standard tool stuff, really. It's just generic tools. So everyone should have, I suppose, a fairly simple kit. But yeah. Again, you don't need all these things, but these are just more bits and bobs to fix random stuff. So bolts, some big washers, some rubber sort of big washer type things, more cable ties. I've got plenty of those. This is wiring stuff, fuses, these are for your tyre plugs. I've just got extra ones. The actual kit, we'll get into that. More electrical stuff, some very small hose clamps, just some sort of angle stuff, spacers, yeah, just assorted bits and pieces. 2 power tools. I think I'm actually not the expert. These are my mates, but I think one's just a drill, one's an impact drill. Don't need a water tank canister. It's handy. We'll go into the camping stuff. So this is just sort of a assorted camping things. Gas bottle, toilet paper, tissues. There's some plastic bags under here. Paper towels, baby wipes, very handy. Another first aid kit. Fire starters. We've got some dishwashing liquid, deodorant, more hand sanitizer, some more sunscreen, toiletries, so toothbrushes, body wash and shampoo. And this one actually is quite interesting for the cyclists. This is nappy rash, which you put on your bum. You're not going to have a good time out in the desert without that, so highly recommend that. And yeah, it's just nappy rash, anti-inflammatory stuff. What else we got? More sunscreen, insect repellent. We've got some Ziploc bags for food for the fridge. Instead of carrying Tupperware, we carry the Ziploc bags because they take up less space. Rubbish bags, a lighter. Down here at the bottom, we've got some washing up. What do you call these things? Washing up. I'll put it up on the screen. Washing up things. And this is interesting. This is the workshop manual for my car. Now this one, I would recommend you carry your car's workshop manual, even if you don't know much about your car at all. If something goes wrong, you've got the manual there, so that anyone can, well, especially there's most likely going to be someone that has an idea of mechanics, or even a mechanic themselves at the race. If you've got an issue, they can look at the manual and they'll hopefully understand what it says and be able to help you out. So that's all that stuff. So look, we'll have a look at, this is all sports food. So this is for while you're cycling, the food. So hydrolyte tablets, I think these stop you from having cramps. Again, this is not really my field, but it's just what I've got. Got some Cliff Bars, SIS gels, so just, yeah, all the sports food stuff. I think what are these ones? These are Energy Chews. They're like Red Frogs, basically, but better. So that's that stuff. And this one, so this is more, again, sort of generic stuff to fix things, such as, well, key being more cable ties and duct tape, very useful duct tape. There's some Velcro stuff, some fencing wire. What do we got? We've got Sikaflex. Again, you don't need all these things. These are just what we've got here. More hose clamps, wiring stuff, foamy stuff for, if you want to, anyway, wiring stuff, electrical tape, more cable ties. These are some rubber blocks. I have had these on the intercooler previously. I've got a different setup now, but rubber blocks for vibrating things that you need to fix. Some sandpaper. This is the tool for my vehicle for the fuel filters and oil filters. We'll get into the spares later, but that's the tool. Some rubber gloves, some normal gloves, or just wiring, spare wire stuff. Just some Corrie. So this is Corrie for wire, if you've got any exposed wire that you want to conceal. A multimeter, a hose, so you can use a siphon hose, probably an emergency one, but nonetheless. More Corrie, some rubber. Again, sort of a lot of the stuff is to out in the desert. You've got all the corrugated roads, so stuff that you can use if something's broken to sort of dampen vibrations is useful. And now finally I'll get into this. So water tanks. These are two I've had previously water tanks fail. So these are two different brands of epoxy putties. One's JB Weld Water Weld, the other one is Selly's Need It Aqua. So hopefully, well, we'll see, but if the water tanks fail again, these apparently are decent at patching up that sort of stuff, so that's why I have those. Roll back again. Alright, so on this side, this is sort of the camping camping, the food side, the kitchen side. So this is a 40 litre drawer fridge, 40 litres. I find them really handy for a ute, but you know, whatever fridge you want, that's fridge. This is the cutlery box, and here we have a table. Fits perfectly. It was pure luck. So this is a small table, so you can see that's sort of the size of the table that I carry. Not a massive table, pretty small table, but I find that I prefer that to having a massive table that's hard to get in and out. So I'll show you all the stuff in here. I'll get it out. Okay, so I've unloaded this side. So all of these things here are in there. Start from this end. This is the cooking stuff. This is a washing up, collapsible washing up bowl. Some crackers, baby wipes, a towel for drying up. Okay, cutlery. So salt and pepper, regular, you know, spatula, big spoon, soup spoon, all that usual stuff. Can opener, some spices, bowls, plates, cups, pan, 2 pans. The bottom one here is actually for a fire, so you can put the pan on the fire. Not that we have fires out in the actual desert, but you might have a fire on the way there, on the way back. These is canned olive oil. Highly recommend that. The normal olive oil bottles, to tip over, they go everywhere. Had that happen a few times to different mates and myself. So canned olive oil is excellent. Dishwashing liquid, a chopping up board. That's just some honey. I think that was it. Oh, there's a few rubber bands down the bottom here. Okay, pots. 2 pots. So yeah, you can boil 2 sets of water if you need. Just some random straps. So this was all sort of lying in front of those boxes. A couple of random straps. This is pegs and guy ropes for the awning. A rubber hammer. That's my sand flag. These 2 here, they're breaker bars. So I'll just keep them there. It's just a nice space for, it's like a sort of a dead space. But so these are just different sizes and lengths of breaker bars, which I find useful. So I'm a bit weak, to be honest. If you're strong, maybe you don't need breaker bars, but I need breaker bars. Especially your wheel nuts sometimes, they can be a bit dodgy. So obviously it's good to check your wheel nuts before you go, but breaker bars are useful because there'll be bolts that you can't undo otherwise, if you need to undo them. Big sandbags. So these massive sandbags are great. Couple of small ones as well. Cooker, and crucially the hose for your gas bottle, and a lighter. So that's that. And also, this was just in there, but this is a extension for the awning, so you can create some more cover. So that's all that was there. Top here, I'll be quick because I'm running out of light, but I'll just show you what's up here. Generally I keep lighter things up the top, obviously, but I find this a good way to use the space in the canopy, so I'll pull everything out and show you what's in there. So all these items were up on the top shelf there. 2 camp chairs, pretty simple, just comfortable ones. This is my clothes bag. I won't go into what's in there in detail, but what I would say is just make sure you do bring a couple of good jumpers, because it can get cold out in the desert, even in spring, down to sort of, you know, even below 5 degrees at night. And also bring a beanie, because yeah, it does get cold, but otherwise, you know, just regular t-shirt, shorts, whatever. This bag has my laptop and charger and external hard drive for my camera stuff, so if I can transfer files if I want to. Spare tyre for the fat bike. Worst case, you know, you can swap them out, so 1 spare is good. This is a hose to fill my water tanks with a couple of different, so these bits here, there are a couple of different adapters for different types of hose fittings. A towel. Now this is the bag with the cycle gear, so I'll just open it up and have a look. Okay, so got a brush for the chain, helmet, shoes, and I won't pull it all out, but we've got, you can see that, yeah, arm warmers, a head sort of, what do you call this thing, a buff. I've got 5 pants, 5 bike pants and 5 bike shirts. Also got a wind shirt, a rain jacket. So that's all the clothing, and just in here, let's have a look. Got These are just cycle glasses. I didn't get any fancy ones, just from the chemist, but cycling glasses. This is the bike computer, who's thing, and heart rate monitor. So that's good for tracking your heart rate while you're riding. And that's it. So put that up here. We have my camera gear. I'll go into that. This is interesting. So these are 5 of these. These are collapsible 10-litre water containers. Last year, as I said, we had a water tank blow. With these, at least, we would, in theory, hopefully be able to, capture 50 litres of water if a tank breaks. So that's what they're there for. This is just a rubber thing to stand on while having a shower. Make sure I skip something over here. So in here, we've got the camp shower, a towel, and we also have this here. I'd recommend bringing something for the rider to lie on during the lunch break. So, whatever you've got, a sort of a big lounge sort of thing. What I've chosen to do is bring a sleeping mat. There's a hiking sleeping mat which you blow up and it's, comfortable to lie on. So that's what I've chosen. This is interesting. This is a big bike pump. So this one you can release, lots of pressure quickly. For the fat bike tyres. These are just my shoes. These are all the bottles. So you're going to need 8 bottles for the Simpson Desert Bike Challenge. So 8 bottles, and each bottle has the race number, your number on the actual bottle. That's important. And these are goggles. Now this is for if it's, I hope I don't need these, but if it is really, really windy, you can't, it's hard to ride if it's really windy with sand blowing everywhere. So that's just, an idea with, we've seen riders previously use those, so that's why I've got that. And that's everything that was up the top there. So I'll pack it away again. I think I might have forgotten these. These are just 3 tarps for sleeping on. Swag and that sort of stuff. Extra tarp, always useful. Now the only thing I haven't done yet is the under tray toolboxes. So I'll do those. I sort of keep, on this side I keep recovery gear, the other side I keep spares. So I'll show you that. So you've got tyre, what do you call these? These are for the wheel studs. Tyre repair kit. More cable ties, don't have enough cable ties. Rags, dirty hands. Jumper leads, very, very handy jumper leads if you've got a flat battery. We've got just 2 shackles. In this bag I'll have ratchet straps, which are, if you've got a ute, very useful. Ratchet straps, but useful nonetheless, no matter what car you've got. Winch stuff. So if you don't have a winch, none of this is applicable. If you do have a winch, winch blanket, axe, relevant to a winch, but an axe, a snatch block. This has the load on the winch rope. Tow hitch. If you need to pull people out, that's good. Tow hitch. This is I think it's a winch extension strap. So remember, we've got the snatch strap underneath the driver's seat, winch extension strap, and this is a tree trunk protector. You probably won't need that out in the desert, obviously, but it's there. We also have a wheel chock and a stand, a car stand. So if you need to work on your car, stand. Yep, so that's what's in that box. And now I'm very, very fast running out of light. I hope this still looks okay. This one is my spares. Lots of interesting stuff going on with spares and fluids. So, alright, brake fluid. High temperature bearing grease. Molly grease. So you end up playing Tetris with these under tray boxes, so let's see how we go. This is my spare fuel filter. Heavy duty degreaser. WD-40. Let's see, we've got power steering fluid. Again, you don't need all these things, but this is just what I've got, you know, just an example. Oil filter, and another oil filter, because my car runs 2 oil filters, so 2 oil filters. Let's see. This is the air filter, spare air filter. Alright, now my car has an intercooler, so I have spare intercooler hoses, because the ones on mine are actually a bit sketchy. So that was a spare intercooler hose. This is a spare coolant hose. I would recommend you carry those. Another intercooler hose. This is the other one, so this is a pair of spare coolant hoses, coolant system hoses. This is 1 litre engine oil, spare engine oil. What we got up here? Another intercooler, so that's the 3 intercooler hoses. They're the 3 hoses that I've got. Okay, now let's see. You'd be surprised how much fits in here. Alright, just gotta switch hands. Alright, this is, get it out. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Right. So, okay, got it out now. This is 5 litres of coolant. My car, or my engine, or my car is well known for overheating. So that's 5 litres of coolant. And last but not least, I'll grab it out. Oh. Brake cleaner was in there somewhere. And these are some bearings and a couple other bits and pieces. So let's have a look. Alright. Belts. So we've got 3 belts: fan belt, power steering belt, and aircon belt. So 3 belts. Well, I know my engine has 3 belts, so I assume most engines have 3 belts. We have wheel studs. Now my car has different wheel studs for the front and rear, so they're rear wheel studs, and these ones are front wheel studs. So wheel studs and wheel nuts. I think I've got 8, and that's just what it came with. So wheel studs, spare wheel studs, and the rest of this is bearings. So I have 2 spare rear wheel bearings and 2 spare front wheel bearings. So I have a spare bearing for each corner of the car. Previously I've only had 1 spare, so 1 spare front wheel bearing, 1 spare rear wheel bearing. That's again up to you. I've had experience with mates who had their wheel bearings go at the same time, so that's why I'm carrying all of them now, in case they all go, worst case, but one would probably be okay as well. And yeah, that was it. So I hope that was useful. I'll pack it up again now, but yeah, that's everything that I carry. Yeah, I hope that was useful for somebody out there. If you're setting up your car and you're wondering what people carry, that's what I carry. Thanks a lot.